The kitchen clock reads 6:47 a.m., same as it has every morning for the past 3 years since Caroline passed. I stand at the sink washing a single plate, a single fork, a single coffee mug, the blue one with the chip on the rim that she refused to replace. It has character, she'd say, running her thumb over the imperfection, the way she did with everything that was broken, but still had use. The morning light cuts through the blinds in golden strips, painting the oak table where we used to share breakfast. Now it's just me, and the silence broken only by the drip of the faucet I keep meaning to fix. Some things I've learned are easier left undone. They give you something to think about, besides the empty chair across from you. My name is Richard Dalton. I'm 71 years old, a widower, and a father to a son who seems to have forgotten both of those facts matter. The garage calls to me after breakfast. It's where I spend most mornings now, surrounded by the smell of sawdust and motor oil, the tools Caroline bought me for our 40th anniversary hanging in neat rows on pegboard. I built the workbench myself the same week we moved into this house 43 years ago. Ethan was just a boy, then maybe 7, handing me screws and asking why wood smelled like Christmas trees. I pick up a piece of oak I've been planing, running my hand along its grain. The wood doesn't lie to you. It shows you its flaws, its strength, its truth. I wish people were more like wood. The phone rings at 10:15, pulling me from my thoughts. I recognize the number Ethan's cell. My heart does that stupid thing. It always does that hopeful leap that maybe today he'll sound like my son again, instead of someone calling about a business transaction. Dad, his voice is clipped efficient. Got a minute? For you always? I keep my tone neutral, learned that trick in the 3 years since Caroline's funeral, when every conversation with him became a negotiation. Madison and I set a date, October 15th at the Riverside Estate. October 15th, Caroline's birthday. The coincidence sits heavy in my chest, but I don't mention it. Maybe he doesn't remember. Maybe that's worse. That's wonderful news, son. Your mother would have been, we're keeping it small, he cuts in. Intimate, just close family and friends. Something in his tone makes my hand tighten on the phone. Of course. What do you need me to do? I can help with the costs, or, actually, Dad, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. A pause. I can hear Madison's voice in the background, muffled but insistent. We've decided it's better if you don't come. The words hit like a physical blow. I steady myself against the workbench, sawdust clinging to my palm. I'm sorry, what did you say? You're not invited. His voice hardens like he's fortifying himself against my reaction. Madison's family, they're traditional. They don't think it would be appropriate given everything. Given everything. As if Caroline's death was something I did wrong, as if grief was a character flaw. Given what, exactly, my voice stays calm. Years of construction management teaching me not to show weakness. Come on, Dad, you know how you get. Drinking too much, telling those old stories nobody wants to hear, making things uncomfortable. Madison's parents are paying for everything, and they want it perfect. I haven't had a drink in 3 years, not since the doctor told me my heart couldn't take it. And my stories, our stories, mine and Caroline's, are all I have left of the life we built. I see. 2 words. That's all I can manage. It's just how it is. Try to understand. The line goes dead before I can respond. I stand there holding the phone, staring at the wedding photo on my workbench. Caroline in her grandmother's dress, me in a rented tux that was too tight in the shoulders. We'd gotten married at the courthouse, just us and 2 witnesses, because we couldn't afford anything else. But we'd been happy. God, we'd been happy. I set the phone down carefully, like it might shatter. The garage suddenly feels smaller, the walls pressing in. 3 years. 3 years of dinners. He was too busy to attend holidays, spent alone, phone calls that never came. I'd told myself it was grief that we were both processing Caroline's loss in our own ways. But this is something else entirely. The lake house calls to me. I haven't been there since last summer, couldn't bear to see it without Caroline pointing out the eagles or planting her garden. But now I need the distance, the quiet, the water that doesn't ask questions or give answers. I pack a small bag, lock up the house, and drive the 2 hours north. The road unfolds like memory, every turn, every landmark a reminder of trips we'd made as a family. Ethan in the back seat asking if we were there yet. Caroline's hand in mine, her wedding ring catching the sunlight. The lake house sits on 3 acres of pine and birch, a cabin we'd bought for a song 30 years ago, and renovated ourselves. Every board, every window, every inch of the wraparound porch holds our sweat and dreams. Caroline had insisted on the porch swing, said she wanted a place to grow old watching sunsets. I sit in that swing now, the chains creaking their familiar song. The lake stretches out before me, mirror still, in the late morning light. A loon calls from somewhere across the water, lonely and wild. In my pocket, my phone buzzes. A text from Ethan. Hope you understand, Dad. This is what's best for everyone. What's best for everyone. I wonder if he even knows what those words mean anymore, or if Madison and her family have rewritten their definition. I look at the wedding photo I've carried with me, Caroline's face bright with joy, my arm around her waist. We'd built something here, not just a house, but a life, a family. And now our son was erasing me from his most important day, the day that should have had both his parents standing beside him. The afternoon sun warms my face as I sit in the swing, not quite ready to go inside, where every room holds ghosts of better days. A pair of ducks land on the water, sending ripples across the glass surface. They paddle together side by side, the way Caroline and I used to walk the shoreline. I think about all the things I could say to Ethan, all the arguments I could make. But men like me, we were raised to take what comes to shoulder the burden without complaint. Caroline used to tell me I kept too much inside, that silence could be as damaging as words. Maybe she was right. Maybe all this silence has built a wall between Ethan and me, so high neither of us knows how to climb over it anymore. As the sun begins its descent, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, I make a decision. I won't beg for an invitation to my own son's wedding. I won't plead or argue or make myself smaller to fit into his new life. But I won't disappear either. Caroline didn't raise a man who gives up without a fight, even if that fight looks nothing like what you'd expect. I pull out my phone and dial a number I haven't called in years. Marcus Lee, my old attorney, answers on the third ring. Richard Dalton, he says, warmth in his voice. Been a long time. What can I do for you? I need to review some documents, Marcus. Property deeds, beneficiary designations, that sort of thing. And I need to do it quietly. Having family trouble. His tone shifts professional now. Something like that. Come by the office tomorrow. We'll get everything in order. After we hang up, I sit in the growing darkness, listening to the lake, lap against the dock. The wedding is 6 weeks away. 6 weeks to make sure that when my son stands at that altar, he remembers exactly who his father is and what he's capable of. Not revenge, never that. But dignity. Respect. The kind of quiet power Caroline always said was my greatest strength. I stand from the swing, my joints protesting slightly, and walk into the lake house. The familiar smell of pine and old books wraps around me like an embrace. I turn on the kitchen light, put water on for tea, and pull out the leather notebook where Caroline kept her recipes and notes. On the last page in her flowing script, remember, my love strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in the silence between words, the choice to stand, when others expect you to fall. I trace my fingers over her handwriting, feeling the indent of the pen she'd pressed into the paper. I remember, I whisper to the empty room, and I'm about to remind him too. The kettle whistles and I pour my tea, settling into the chair by the window, where Caroline and I used to play cards on rainy afternoons. Outside, the stars begin to emerge, pinpricks of light in the gathering darkness. Tomorrow, I'll start putting things in motion. Tonight, I'll sit with my memories and my plans, letting both take shape in the quiet of this place that knows all my secrets. My son thinks he can erase me from his life, from his future, from this family we built with our own hands. He's about to learn that some men don't erase so easily, especially not the ones who taught you how to stand in the first place. The lake whispers against the shore, keeping time with my heartbeat steady and sure. Whatever comes next, I'll face it the way Caroline and I faced everything together in spirit, if not in body, and with the kind of resolve that comes from knowing exactly who you are and what you're worth. The night deepens and I sit in my chair waiting for morning, and the beginning of something my son will never see coming. Comment 200 if you want a sequel. The drive back from the lake house Monday morning feels longer than it should. Every mile marker is a memory. The diner where we'd stop for pancakes on the way home, the bend in the road where Ethan caught his first glimpse of the water and squealed with delight, the overlook where Caroline and I scattered wildflower seeds one spring, hoping they'd bloom for other travelers. I arrive home to find my mailbox stuffed with the usual bills, advertisements, and a thick cream envelope with elegant script. For a moment, my heart stumbles, thinking perhaps Ethan reconsidered. But the return address reads Monroe in raised lettering, Madison's parents. Inside is an invitation to a pre-wedding dinner. To celebrate the joining of our families, it says. The irony tastes bitter. I'm not invited to the wedding, but apparently I'm expected to smile through rehearsal festivities where Madison's family can parade their success and generosity. I set it aside and pull out the box from the hall closet, the one I haven't opened since Caroline's funeral. Inside are photos, hundreds of them, our life in glossy prints. Ethan as a newborn, impossibly small in my rough carpenter's hands. His first birthday chocolate cake smeared across his cherubic face. The day we finished building the dock at the lake house, both of us sunburned and grinning, his small hand gripping the hammer he'd helped me use. There's one from his high school graduation. Caroline stands between us, radiant in her yellow dress, her arms around both of us. Ethan's smile is genuine proud. He'd just been accepted to State University on a partial scholarship. I'd covered the rest without hesitation, cashed in bonds I'd been saving, worked double shifts at the construction site. He'll make something of himself, Caroline had whispered that night as we lay in bed. Our boy is going places. She was right. He went places right out of our lives. The phone rings, shattering my reverie. I almost don't answer, but the area code is local. Mr. Dalton. This is Gerald Monroe, Madison's father. I straighten in my chair. Mr. Monroe. Please call me Gerald. His voice is smooth, practiced. The voice of a man used to boardrooms and negotiations. I wanted to reach out personally about the dinner invitation. We're hoping you'll join us. I received it, thank you. Excellent. You know, Richard, may I call you? Richard Madison speaks very highly of Ethan. We're thrilled to welcome him into our family. Into their family. As if he's leaving mine. We were hoping, Gerald continues, that you might share some stories about Ethan at the dinner. Nothing too lengthy, of course. Madison's grandmother will be there, and she tires easily. The presumption stings. They want me to perform to provide entertainment, but not attend the actual wedding. Also, he adds, his tone shifting slightly, we should discuss the property situation. Ethan mentioned you have quite a bit of real estate. The lake house, for instance. Have you thought about your estate planning? There it is. The real reason for the call. That's private business, Gerald. Of course. But you understand, with Ethan starting his new life, it would be prudent to ensure everything is in order. Madison and I have been helping them look for a home, but the market is challenging. That lake house of yours, it must be quite valuable now. My grip tightens on the phone. The lake house isn't for sale. Oh, I wasn't suggesting well. Eventually you'll want to ensure it goes to the right hands. Family hands. A pause. We have an excellent estate attorney if you need a referral. I have my own counsel, thank you. After we disconnect, I sit staring at the phone. The picture becomes clearer. Ethan's sudden distance, the wedding exclusion, now this probing about property. Madison's family sees opportunity, a widower father with assets and no wife to complicate matters. The following days blur together. I meet with Marcus Lee, who updates all my legal documents with the efficiency of old friendship. I visit the bank, ensure all my accounts are in order, my beneficiary designations current. I install new locks on both the house and the lake house, change every password document, every asset. You're being smart, Marcus tells me, over coffee in his office. Whatever's happening with your son, protect yourself first. The pre-wedding dinner arrives too quickly. I wear the navy suit Caroline picked out for our 40th anniversary, the one she said made my eyes look like the lake on a clear day. I carry a bottle of wine I know nothing about, purchased based on price alone. The Monroe house sits in Millbrook Heights, one of those developments where every lawn is identical, and the houses look like they were built from the same catalog. Gerald opens the door in khakis and a polo shirt that probably costs more than my monthly grocery bill. Richard, come in, come in. The interior is magazine-perfect white walls, chrome fixtures, abstract art that means nothing. Madison glides over in a dress that costs more than my truck payment, her smile bright and empty. Mr. Dalton, so lovely you could make it. Ethan appears from the kitchen, wearing a forced smile. Hey, Dad. No hug, no handshake. Just those two words hollow as a drum. I'm directed to the living room, where Madison's mother, Patricia, holds court on a leather sectional. She extends a limp hand. You must be the father. Madison's told us so much about the family history. family history, as if we're a museum exhibit. Dinner is served in a dining room with a table that seats 12. I'm placed at the far end across from Madison's grandmother, who squints at me like I'm a curiosity. The conversation flows around me. Madison's bridesmaids, the florist selection, the photographer they've flown in from New York. Richard, Patricia says suddenly, her voice carrying down the table. Ethan tells us you were in construction. How quaint. Did you ever build anything notable? I built our home, I say quietly, and the lake house where we raised Ethan. Built them both with my own hands. How rustic. She exchanges a glance with Gerald. Must be quite outdated by now. Those old places require so much maintenance. I meet Ethan's eyes. He looks away, reaching for his wine glass. The meal continues. Some kind of fish. I don't recognize vegetables arranged like art portions that would leave a working man hungry. They talk about their country club, their recent trip to Europe, their plans for Ethan and Madison's future. We're setting them up in the Riverside condo, Gerald announces. Wedding gift, 3 bedrooms, river view. Much more suitable than that apartment Ethan's been in. That's generous, I manage. Family takes care of family. Patricia adds the emphasis clear. Their family, not mine. After dinner, Gerald corners me in the hallway. Richard, let's speak frankly. Ethan's told us about your difficulties since your wife passed. The isolation, the depression. We're concerned about you managing all that property alone. I'm managing fine. Are you... His smile doesn't reach his eyes. A man your age alone in poor health. My health is fine. Ethan mentioned a heart condition, and there's the drinking. My jaw clenches. I haven't had a drink in 3 years. Well, regardless, we want to help. We have contacts, excellent senior living facilities, very comfortable. You could sell the properties live without worry. The presumption is breathtaking. They've already decided, my future removed, the father acquire the assets. The properties stay in my name until I decide otherwise. Gerald's expression hardens. Ethan is your only child. Eventually is not now. I excuse myself, finding Ethan in the study, scrolling through his phone. He looks up guilty. Dad, save it. I keep my voice low. I understand what's happening here. What are you talking about? You think I'm too old, too broken to see what they're doing, what you're letting them do. His face flushes. They're trying to help. They're trying to acquire. There's a difference. God, Dad, you're so paranoid. Not everything is a conspiracy. Maybe they genuinely care about your well-being. And do you care? The question hangs between us. For a moment I see something flicker in his eyes, regret maybe, or recognition. Then it's gone, replaced by the stranger he's become. I'm starting a new life. I can't be responsible for managing yours too. The words cut deeper than any blade. I nod slowly, understanding finally settling over me like a heavy coat. You're right, you're not responsible for me. And I'm no longer responsible for you. I walk out, leaving him in that sterile study, surrounded by leather-bound books he'll never read, and success that rings hollow. In my truck, I sit for a long moment, hands on the steering wheel. The porch light of the Monroe house glows behind me, warm and welcoming, for everyone but me. I pull out my phone and text Marcus, accelerate everything. I want it all ironclad by the end of the week. His reply is immediate, understood. As I drive home, through the dark streets past houses full of families that haven't yet splintered, I think about Caroline. What would she say about all this? Would she defend Ethan, insist he's just influenced by new family? Nummy, Caroline could spot a snake in the grass from a mile away. She'd see what I see, a son who's traded his history for a future that doesn't include the man who gave him life. The house is dark when I arrive, but I don't turn on the lights. I sit in the living room where Caroline and I used to watch television, where Ethan opened Christmas presents, where we celebrated birthdays and victories and the simple fact of being together. Tomorrow, I'll continue preparing. But tonight, I let myself grieve not for Caroline this time, but for the son I've already lost, the one who stood in that study and cut me loose without a second thought. The moon rises outside my window, casting silver shadows across the floor. In the silence, I can almost hear Caroline's voice. Don't let them make you small, Richard. Don't let anyone erase what we built. I won't, I promise her memory. Whatever comes next, I'll face it standing tall with my dignity intact and my assets secure. They want to write me out of the story, but they're about to learn that I'm the one who holds the pen. The official letter arrives on a Wednesday delivered by certified mail. I sign for it at the door, the postal worker's sympathetic glance telling me she knows what kind of news requires a signature. Inside the thick envelope is an invitation not to the wedding, but to sign it away. Dear Dad. It begins Ethan's handwriting, smaller than I remember, cramped and uncertain. After much discussion with Madison and her family, we've decided that the best path forward for everyone involves some practical arrangements regarding the family assets. Family assets, not our home, not the lake house where he learned to swim, not the workshop where I taught him to use a level. Assets. The letter continues outlining a generous proposal. I would transfer ownership of the lake house to Ethan and Madison as a wedding gift, sell the main house and move into a retirement community. They've helpfully included brochures for 3 options and establish a trust fund with the remaining proceeds that they would manage to ensure my comfort in my final years. My final years. I'm 71, not 90. I built a 3-story deck last summer. The kicker comes at the end. We think it's best if we formalize these arrangements before the wedding to avoid any confusion or conflict during what should be a joyous occasion. Madison's father has recommended an excellent attorney who can expedite the paperwork. We know you'll want what's best for our future. I read it 3 times, each time the words feeling more surreal. This isn't a request, it's a demand dressed in the language of concern. They're not asking for my blessing, they're asking for my surrender. I walk to the garage, letter still in hand. The afternoon light slants through the high windows, illuminating dust motes that dance in the air. I built this space with my own hands, every shelf, every drawer, every carefully organized corner. Caroline used to bring me iced tea on summer afternoons, sit on the old bar stool in the corner while I worked, telling me about her day. I pull out the accordion folder, where I keep important documents, deeds, titles, insurance policies. Everything is there organized with the same precision I bring to measuring a board or hanging a door. The lake house deed purchased 32 years ago for $47,000, worth close to $500,000 now. The house deed bought 43 years ago for $65,000, now worth easily $800,000. A lifetime of work reduced to paper and numbers. But numbers tell stories too. These numbers say, I worked double shifts for 3 years to save the down payment on this house. They say I refinished the entire interior myself. Caroline by my side, both of us covered in sawdust and laughing. They say I built something that lasted, something meant to be passed down, not stripped away. I think about the trust fund they want to establish. They would manage it, control when and how I access my own money, turn me into a dependent, a child who needs permission to spend what I earned. My phone rings. Ethan, did you get the letter? No, hello, no, how are you? I got it. Good. We need to move quickly on this. The attorney can meet us Friday to start the paperwork. I'm not signing anything, Ethan. Silence. Then, Dad, be reasonable. This is for your own good. My own good or yours? What's that supposed to mean? I walk to the window, look out at the yard Caroline planted with perennials that bloom year after year. It means I'm not senile. I see exactly what this is. It's a practical arrangement. It's theft dressed up as concern. His voice hardens. That's not fair. We're trying to help you. You're alone, you're getting older, managing all this is too much. Says who I managed a construction company with 40 employees. I think I can manage my own life. The Monroes think, the Monroes? I let out a bitter laugh. Not we, not you and Madison. The Monroes think. When did you stop thinking for yourself? That's enough. His voice turns cold. If you won't do this voluntarily, there are other options. Is that a threat? It's reality, Dad. If we have to prove you're not competent to manage your affairs. The line goes dead. I pulled it from my ear and stared at it, the screen dark and accusing. My own son just threatened to have me declared incompetent. I sink into Caroline's chair, the one she'd curl up in, with her mystery novels and her knitting. The leather still smells faintly of her perfume, though maybe that's just my imagination holding on to ghosts. On the mantel, our wedding photo watches 2 kids who had nothing but each other and thought that was enough. Turns out it was more than enough. It was everything. The photo next to it shows Ethan at 8, gap-toothed and grinning, holding up the trophy from his first Little League game. I'd coached that team, spent every Saturday for 3 months in the hot sun, teaching boys how to swing a bat and catch a ball. We'd lost more games than we won, but Ethan didn't care. We had fun, Dad, he'd said. That's what matters. When did that boy disappear? When did fun stop mattering? When did everything become about acquisition and advancement? I remember the night before Ethan left for college. We sat on the porch watching lightning bugs dance across the lawn. Caroline had gone to bed early, leaving us in that comfortable male silence where words weren't always necessary. "I'm scared," Ethan had finally said. "Of what?" "That I'll disappoint you, that I'll fail." I'd put my arm around his shoulders, felt how much he'd grown, how the boy was becoming a man. "Son, the only way you could disappoint me is if you stop being kind. Everything else grades jobs. Success, that's all secondary. Just be kind. Be honest. Be the man your mother and I raised." He'd nodded against my shoulder. "I will, Dad. I promise." Promises like trust are easy to break when convenience demands it. The next morning, I drive to the lake house. The 2-hour journey passes in a blur of memory and decision-making. The water greets me like an old friend, unchanging, reliable, honest in its simplicity. I walk through each room, running my hands over wood. Caroline and I installed counters we chose together, windows we cleaned countless times. The master bedroom still has her reading glasses on the nightstand. I haven't had the heart to move them. In the closet, I find the box of letters she wrote me over the years, notes left in my lunch pail when I worked construction cards for birthdays and anniversaries. One long letter she wrote when she knew the cancer was winning. I open that last letter, though I've memorized every word. "My dearest Richard, when you read this I'll be gone, but I need you to know something. The life we built wasn't about the houses or the bank accounts. It was about the love we put into every board, every nail, every decision. Don't let anyone tell you that what we created wasn't valuable. Don't let anyone diminish what you've accomplished. You're stronger than you think, my love, and you're worth more than they can measure. Stand tall, stand firm, and know that I'm proud of the man you are, the man you've always been. All my love, always, Caroline." I fold the letter, carefully place it back in the box. Then I pull out my phone and call Marcus. "I need to make some changes," I tell him. "Major changes." "What kind of changes?" "The kind that can't be undone." That evening, I sit at the lake house kitchen table with a legal pad making lists. Not of what I'm losing, but of what I'm protecting. Not of what they want, but of what I'm willing to give, which at this point is nothing. The loon calls across the water, its cry lonely and wild. I think about that sound, how it's remained unchanged for thousands of years. Some things endure regardless of human drama and family betrayal. I make my decision as the sun sets, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose. Tomorrow, I'll set everything in motion. But tonight, I'll sit in the home Caroline and I built, and remember what we created, not just walls and roofs, but a life of dignity and purpose. They want my legacy. They'll have to pry it from my cold, dead hands. And even then, I'll have made sure it goes somewhere worthy, somewhere Caroline would approve. I pour myself a glass of water, no whiskey, not for 3 years now, and raise it to the lake, to Caroline's memory, to the man I've been, and the man I'm about to become. "Here's to standing firm," I whisper. "Here's to fighting back. The only way that matters, with truth, with law, with the quiet strength you always said, was my greatest weapon." The glass catches the last light of day, and somewhere in the distance thunder rumbles. A storm is coming, but I'm ready for it. More than ready, I'm armed. Marcus Lee's office sits above a bakery on Main Street, the smell of fresh bread mixing with old law books and leather furniture. I climb the stairs Friday morning, each step deliberate, carrying a briefcase full of documents and 3 decades of determination. "Richard." Marcus stands when I enter, his handshake firm. We've known each other since he was a young attorney, fresh from law school, handling my first business contracts. Now, his hair is silver, but his eyes are still sharp. "Coffee." "Black, thanks." We settle into chairs that have held countless conversations about contracts, disputes, business dealings. This one feels different. This one is personal. "Tell me everything," Marcus says, pen poised over his legal pad. I do. The wedding exclusion, the dinner with the Monroes, the letter Ethan's thread about competency. Marcus doesn't interrupt, just takes notes in his precise handwriting. When I finish, he leans back, tapping his pen against the pad. "They're showing their hand too early. That's good for us." "How so?" "If they were truly concerned about your welfare, they'd approach this differently. The speed, the pressure, the threats it all points to. Opportunism, not care." He flips through the documents I've brought. "Your assets are substantial. The lake house alone, given current market values, puts you in a strong position. I don't want to sell. You won't have to. Marcus pulls out a fresh legal pad. Here's what we're going to do. First, we update your will very specifically. Second, we create a trust structure that protects your assets during your lifetime. Third, we document everything, every conversation, every demand, every threat. And if they try to claim I'm incompetent, Marcus almost smiles. Then we'll get you evaluated by the best neuropsychologist in the state. You'll pass with flying colors and we'll have medical proof of your competency. They'll look like vultures, which is exactly what they are. We spend the next 3 hours going through details. Marcus calls in his paralegal Sarah, who's been with him for 20 years. She takes notes while we outline the new structure. The lake house, Marcus says, we'll put it in an irrevocable trust with you as lifetime beneficiary. You maintain full control during your life, but it can't be challenged or seized. Who gets it after? That's up to you. You could name a charity a friend sell it and establish a scholarship in Caroline's name. The point is, it's your decision, not theirs. I think about this. What about leaving it to someone who would appreciate it, someone who understands what it means? Do you have someone in mind? I remember Robert Patterson, my old foreman, who lost his wife to cancer the same year I lost Caroline. His grandson loves fishing, reminds me of Ethan at that age. Maybe. Let me think on it. We structure the main house similarly. My savings, my investments. Everything protected, everything documented. One more thing, Marcus says, the wedding. What about it? They didn't invite you, but you're still the father of the groom. Have you considered making a statement? What kind of statement? Marcus's expression is neutral, but I see the glint in his eye. The kind that reminds everyone who you are, who you've always been. I drive home with a folder full of documents to review my mind, working through possibilities. The wedding is in 3 weeks. 3 weeks for them to think they've won, that I'm beaten down and compliant. The answering machine light blinks when I walk in. 4 messages. The first is Madison's mother, Patricia. Richard, we haven't heard from you about the paperwork. Time is of the essence. The attorney needs delete. The second is Gerald Monroe. Richard, let's be adults about this. Fighting the inevitable only creates hardship. Delete. The third is Ethan. Dad, you're being unreasonable. Just sign the damn papers. We're trying to delete. The fourth stops me cold. It's Diane Morrison, Caroline's best friend, who moved to Phoenix years ago. Richard, I heard about the wedding situation. I'm so sorry, honey. I know Caroline would be heartbroken. Listen, I also heard through the grapevine what they're trying to do with your property. Don't let them, Richard. Caroline told me years ago if anything ever happened to her to make sure you stood your ground. She said you were stronger than you knew. I'm here if you need anything, anything at all. I sit down heavily, the weight of Diane's words settling over me. Caroline told her to watch out for me. Even in death, my wife was trying to protect me. I call Diane back. She answers immediately. Richard, how are you holding up? I've been better. I tell her about Marcus, about the plans we're putting in place. Good, that's good. She pauses. Richard, there's something else. Caroline gave me something before she died. She made me promise not to tell you unless something like this happened. My heart races. What is it? A letter. She said if Ethan ever turned on you, if he ever forgot who he was supposed to be, I should give it to you. She knew, Richard. Somehow she knew. How could she know? Mothers know things. Diane's voice is gentle. She saw how Madison's family was during the engagement, how they treated you. She worried. Can you send it? I'll overnight it. You'll have it Monday. After we hang up, I sit in the growing darkness, not bothering to turn on lights. Caroline knew. She saw the seeds of this betrayal and tried to leave me armor against it. The weekend passes slowly. I work in the garage, installing new locks on every door. The house, the garage, the shed. I change passwords on every account. I photograph every room, every piece of furniture, every item of value. Documentation, Marcus said. Evidence that I'm perfectly capable of managing my affairs. Saturday afternoon, I drive to the hardware store. Tom Henderson, who sold us the lumber for the lake house deck 20 years ago, greets me warmly. Richard, haven't seen you in a while. How are you managing getting by Tom? I select new deadbolts, a security system for the front door. Installing some upgrades. Tom's expression shifts, understanding dawning. I heard about the wedding. My wife couldn't believe it. After everything you've done for that boy. I shake my head. Water under the bridge. Still, Tom rings up my purchases, then lowers his voice. If you need anything, anything at all, you call me. Some of us remember what loyalty means. The kindness catches me off guard. I nod, not trusting my voice. Sunday. I attend church for the first time in months. Pastor Williams finds me afterward. Richard, good to see you. We've missed you. Been keeping to myself. I heard about Ethan's wedding. I'm sorry you won't be there. The whole town knows. The humiliation burns, but I keep my face neutral. Things happen. They do. But Richard, remember, our worth isn't determined by how others treat us. It's determined by how we respond. Monday morning, the overnight package arrives. Inside is a cream envelope, Caroline's handwriting on the front, for Richard when the time comes. I carry it to the kitchen, make coffee, sit at the table where we shared thousands of meals. Then, with trembling hands, I open it. My dearest Richard. It begins, and I can hear her voice in every word. If you're reading this, it means our son has forgotten the lessons we tried to teach him. It means he's chosen expedience over honor, wealth over love. I'm so sorry, my darling. I know how much this must hurt, but I need you to remember something. You are not defined by his choices. You are defined by yours. You built a life through honest work and integrity. You raised a son with every advantage, every opportunity. If he squanders that legacy, it's his failure, not yours. Stand firm, Richard. Don't let them take what we built. Don't let them rewrite our story or diminish our life together. The Lake House. Our home, these aren't just property. They're proof that love builds things that endure. I've left instructions with Diane. If Ethan has turned his back on you, there are things you need to know, steps you need to take. Trust her. Trust Marcus. Trust yourself. You are stronger than you believe. You are worth more than they can measure, and you are loved by me, always, even from beyond. Stand tall, my love. Make them remember who they're dealing with. All my love, forever, Caroline, P.S. The wedding gift is in the attic, third box, from the left, marked Christmas 1995. You'll know what to do with it. I read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down my face. Then I climb to the attic, find the box, and open it. Inside is a photo album Caroline made the year Ethan was born. Every page documents our life, the struggling young family, the modest apartment, the sacrifice and love that built our foundation. The last page has a photo of the 3 of us at the lake house. Ethan maybe 5 years old, all of us covered in paint from staining the deck. Beneath the photo, Caroline wrote, "Remember where you came from. Remember who loved you first. Remember that family is built on sacrifice, not convenience." I closed the album carefully, a plan forming in my mind. Caroline was right. It's time to remind them all who they're dealing with. And the wedding, oh, the wedding will be memorable, just not in the way they expect. Tuesday morning, I call the Riverside estate where the wedding will be held. A cheerful woman answers, identifying herself as Jennifer, the event coordinator. "I'm calling about the Dalton Monroe wedding on October 15th. "Oh yes, beautiful event. How can I help you? I'm Richard Dalton, the father of the groom. I'd like to discuss the financial arrangements." A pause. "I'm sorry, Mr. Dalton, but Mr. Monroe has already settled the deposit and arrangements. The final payment is due a week before the event." "I understand. I'd like to handle the final payment myself, in full, this week." Another pause, longer this time. That's very generous, but Mr. Monroe was quite specific that he would handle all costs." "I'm the father of the groom, Ms. Jennifer. Traditionally, that's my responsibility. I insist." I can hear papers rustling. "The final balance is $47,000. That includes the venue catering for 200 guests, the band, flowers, photography. I'll wire transfer it today. Please send me the payment information." "Mr. Dalton, I really should check with Mr. Monroe. Check with whomever you need to, but I'm paying for my son's wedding. That's non-negotiable." After we hang up, I call my bank and arrange the transfer. $47,000. I've spent less on cars, but this isn't about the money. It's about making a point. Jennifer calls back within an hour. "Mr. Dalton, I spoke with Mr. Monroe. He's insistent that he wants to pay." "Did you tell him I'm insisting harder?" I tried to explain. "Ms. Jennifer, I'm a simple man. My son is getting married. I want to pay for his wedding. Surely you can understand a father's desire to give his son this gift. Of course, but is there any legal reason I can't pay the bill? No, but then it's settled. You'll have the funds by end of business today. Please send me a receipt. And, Ms. Jennifer, I'd like it noted in your records that payment was made by Richard Dalton, father of the groom. She hesitates. Mr. Monroe won't be happy. That's between Mr. Monroe and me. The transfer goes through at 2:17 p.m. I received the receipt by email at 2:45. Jennifer has, as requested, noted the payment source, clearly paid in full by Richard Dalton Fogg. I forward the receipt to Marcus with a simple message. First move made. His reply is immediate. Brilliant. They'll have to acknowledge you now. The call from Gerald Monroe comes at 4:30. What the hell do you think you're doing? No pleasantries now. Paying for my son's wedding. Isn't that what fathers do? We had an arrangement. You had a presumption. I have a son getting married. You can't just... This is completely inappropriate. After we specifically told me I wasn't welcome? Yes, I remember, but you see, Gerald not being invited doesn't change biology. I'm still his father, and fathers pay for weddings. I want that money refunded immediately. Take it up with the Riverside estate. I've paid in full. The contract is satisfied. This is manipulative. It's controlling. It's traditional. I interrupt. Something your family claims to value. He sputters. Then the line goes dead. Ethan calls 5 minutes later. Dad, what did you do? I paid for your wedding. You're welcome? Are you insane? The Monroes were handling everything. And now I've handled it. Problem solved. This isn't solving anything. You're making this about you trying to force your way in. I'm not trying to force my way anywhere, Ethan. I'm simply doing what a father does. The fact that you see it as manipulation says more about you than me. I don't want your money. The words hang in the air between us. Finally, after all these months of pretense and politeness, the truth. Then have the Monroes reimburse me. Wire the money back. I'll send you my account information. You know they can't afford that. And there it is. The real truth. The Monroes, for all their country club memberships and European vacations, can't afford a $47,000 wedding. They've been leveraging their appearance of wealth, expecting to manipulate me into funding their lifestyle through transferred property and managed trusts. Then I guess you'll have to accept my gift, I say quietly. Unless you'd rather cancel the wedding. Silence. That's what I thought. The wedding goes forward. I've paid for it. You can decide whether to acknowledge that or not. I hang up before he can respond. That evening I receive an email from Patricia Monroe, copied to Ethan and Madison. The subject line, unacceptable behavior. Mr. Dalton, your actions today were completely out of line and have caused tremendous distress to our family. We will not be held hostage by your manipulations. We demand immediate reimbursement of the funds you inappropriately transferred. It goes on for 3 paragraphs, each one more hysterical than the last. I forward it to Marcus with the note, evidence of their financial situation. Please file. Wednesday morning brings an unexpected visitor. I'm in the garage when I hear a car door slam. Through the window, I see Madison stepping out of her BMW alone. I meet her at the door, not inviting her in. Mr. Dalton? Her smile is strained. We need to talk. About what? About the wedding payment and the property transfers. There's nothing to discuss. Her composure cracks slightly. You're ruining everything. Ethan and I had plans. We had arrangements. Plans that involve my assets without my consent. That we were trying to help you. By taking my home, my lake house, the property my wife and I built together. By simplifying your life, you're alone, you're old, managing all this is too much. I'm 71, not 90, and I built a construction company from nothing. I think I can manage my own affairs. Her eyes flash. Ethan said you were stubborn. I didn't realize you were cruel. Cruel. Protecting what I worked for is cruel. Denying your son his inheritance, embarrassing us by paying for the wedding when we told you not to come. Yes, that's cruel. His inheritance isn't due until I'm dead. Are you planning something I should know about? She pales. That's not what I meant. Isn't it? You want me out of my home, out of my property, out of my son's life. The only thing missing is me being out of the picture entirely. You're twisting everything. I'm seeing clearly for the first time. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. We could make things difficult for you. She threatens her polished veneer completely gone now. Ethan has documentation of your behavior, your drinking. I haven't had a drink in 3 years. Medical records will prove that. Your isolation, your depression. Grief is not incompetence, and I have a very good attorney who'd be happy to explain that to a judge. She stares at me, realizing she's overplayed her hand. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not seeing who you were sooner. After she leaves, I call Marcus again. She just threatened legal action, mentioned documentation about drinking and depression. Let them try. We'll bury them in counter evidence. Richard, I think it's time we had Dr. Morrison evaluate you. Dr. Morrison is the leading neuropsychologist in the state. 3 days later, I sit in her office taking cognitive tests, memory assessments, every evaluation she can throw at me. Mr. Dalton. She says when we finish, your cognitive function is excellent, better than most men half your age. If anyone tries to claim incompetence, I'll be happy to testify otherwise. That night, I receive a text from a number I don't recognize. This isn't over. You'll be sorry. I forward it to Marcus and to the police filing a harassment report. Documentation, always documentation. Friday brings another development. Jennifer from the Riverside estate calls. Mr. Dalton, I thought you should know Mrs. Monroe called, trying to cancel the venue entirely. She said there was a family emergency. What did you tell her? That the contract is paid in full and non-refundable. She became quite upset. I imagine she did. She said she'd sue us for breach of contract. There's no breach. The venue is paid for, the date is set. The wedding happens as planned. After she hangs up, I allow myself a small smile. They're scrambling now, trying to find any way to regain control. But the foundation I've built is solid, built on law and documentation, and the simple truth that this is my son's wedding and I have every right to pay for it. The following Tuesday, an envelope arrives from Marcus. Inside is a complete documentation package. Will the trust structures, Dr. Morrison's evaluation bank statements, showing 3 years of financial stability, medical records confirming no alcohol consumption, character, references from colleagues, neighbors, and Pastor Williams. Also included is a letter Marcus has drafted to be sent to Ethan and the Monroes. This is to inform you that all property belonging to Richard Dalton remains solely in his name and control. Any attempts to claim incompetence, undue influence, or mismanagement will be met with immediate legal action. Mr. Dalton has been evaluated by leading medical professionals and found to be in excellent mental and physical health. All financial arrangements for the October 15th wedding at Riverside Estate have been completed by Mr. Dalton in his capacity as father of the groom. Any further harassment will be reported to authorities. This letter serves as formal notice that Mr. Dalton's affairs are in order, and any interference will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Should I send it? Marcus asks when I call him. Not yet. Let's wait and see what they do next. What they do next surprises me. On October 1st, 2 weeks before the wedding, Ethan shows up at my door, alone. His face is haggard, his eyes red-rimmed. Dad, we need to talk. For the first time in months, he sounds like my son. I step aside, let him in. We sit in the living room, that same room where he opened Christmas presents as a boy, where Caroline read him bedtime stories, where we celebrated his high school graduation. I'm sorry, he says, and his voice breaks. God, Dad, I'm so sorry. I wait, letting the silence stretch. Madison's family, they got in my head. All their talk about proper planning, about protecting our future, about you being alone and vulnerable. I believed them. I thought I was doing the right thing. And now I see what they really wanted, what I almost let them do to you. Tears stream down his face. Mom would be so ashamed of me. It's the mention of Caroline that breaks something in me. Yes, I say quietly. She would be. He flinches but doesn't look away. I don't know how to fix this. I lean forward, my voice steady. You start by standing up to them. You start by choosing your family, your real family, over their manipulation. The wedding is paid for by me. They can accept that with grace, or they can explain to 200 guests why it's canceled. And the property stuff is off the table forever. If you want a relationship with me, it's because you want your father, not my assets. He nods, wiping his eyes. I want my father. I want my dad. Then you need to prove it, starting now. What happens next will determine everything, whether I've truly lost my son or if there's still something worth salvaging from the wreckage. But either way, I've made my stand, and I'm not backing down. The next 10 days unfold like a slow-motion collision I can see coming but cannot stop. Ethan tries. I'll give him that. He calls daily sometimes just to talk about nothing, the weather. A funny thing that happened at work, memories of fishing at the lake house. He's trying to rebuild the bridge he helped burn one careful plank at a time. But Madison and her family are another matter entirely. The emails come fast and furious. Patricia threatens legal action, then begs, then threatens again. Gerald tries the reasonable businessman approach, suggesting mediation and family counseling. I delete them all, save copies, send them to Marcus. They're getting desperate, Marcus observes when I meet him for coffee 5 days before the wedding. The Monroes have been calling other vendors trying to make changes. The florist called my office asking if your payment was legitimate. What did you tell them? That everything was handled properly and legally. They're trying to regain some control, any control, but they're out of options. He stirs his coffee. Richard, are you actually going to attend? I stare out the window at Main Street, watching people go about their ordinary lives. I haven't decided. You paid $47,000 for a wedding you're not invited to. That's either the best revenge or the worst investment I've ever seen. It's neither. It's a statement. What statement? That I'm still his father, that you can't erase me with an uninvitation, that love, real love, doesn't have conditions. Marcus nods slowly. Caroline would have been proud. The morning of October 15th arrives with crisp autumn air and impossibly blue skies. Caroline's birthday. I sit on the porch at dawn, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise paint the world in shades of gold and amber. The wedding isn't until 4 p.m. I have hours to decide. I pull out my phone, look at the last text from Ethan sent at midnight. Dad, I know I don't deserve it, but I hope you'll come. I need you there. Please. Beneath it, another text from an hour later. Madison's parents will be civil. I promise them. I know it's too late and I ruined everything, but you're my father. I want you there. At 2 p.m., I'm still sitting on the porch when a car pulls up. Diane Morrison steps out dressed in an elegant navy suit. I flew in this morning, she says, climbing the steps. Thought you might need a friend today. How did you know? Because I knew Caroline, and I know you. She sits beside me. Have you decided? I don't know where I belong anymore. You belong wherever you choose to be, Richard. That's the gift of what you've done. You've taken back your choice. She reaches into her purse, pulls out a small box. Caroline gave me this too. Told me to give it to you on Ethan's wedding day, whether you were there or not. Inside is Caroline's pearl necklace, the one she wore to our wedding, and a note in her handwriting. These pearls were my mother's, given to me on my wedding day. I always planned to give them to Ethan's bride. But Richard, my love, the choice of when and how is yours. They represent our family's love passed down through generations. Give them only if that love is honored. All my heart. Oh, see. I hold the pearls smooth and cool, each one a moment of our life together. At 3 p.m., I put on my best suit, the charcoal one Caroline picked out for our 40th anniversary. I clip on the tie she gave me, slip the pearls into my pocket, and get in my truck. Diane follows in her rental car. The Riverside estate is transformed. White chairs line the lawn overlooking the river. Flowers cascade from every surface, and a string quartet plays softly. It's beautiful, tasteful, expensive, everything the Monroes wanted to project. I park at the far end of the lot. Through the windshield, I can see guests arriving in their finery, air kisses and handshakes, the social choreography of the wealthy. Are you ready? Diane asks, appearing at my window. No. Good. The best decisions are made when we're not entirely sure. We walk toward the venue. I see the moment someone recognizes me, a gasp, a whisper, heads turning. The uninvited father has arrived. Gerald Monroe intercepts us at the entrance, his face flushed. Richard, this is inappropriate. We agreed. You agreed. I paid. This is my son's wedding. Security, Gerald calls, but Ethan appears slightly disheveled, his boutonniere crooked. Dad, his voice breaks. You came. I'm your father. Where else would I be? Madison appears behind Ethan, her wedding dress a confection of lace and silk. Her face is a mask of fury. This wasn't the agreement. There is no agreement, Ethan says firmly, surprising us all. Dad, will you walk in with me? I know it's not traditional, but your mother's side is empty, I observe. She would have had sisters, cousins, her best friend Diane here. Traditions change. Patricia Monroe rushes over her mother of the bride crown askew. This is unacceptable. We will not be humiliated. Then don't humiliate yourselves, I say quietly. I'm here as a father, nothing more. You can make this gracious or ugly. Your choice. For a long moment, no one moves. The string quartet continues playing oblivious to the drama. Guests crane their necks, sensing conflict. Then Ethan does something that changes everything. He takes my arm on one side, Madison's on the other. We walk in together, he announces. All three of us. Because families are complicated, but they're still family. Madison's eyes flash, but she nods stiffly. The Monroes stand frozen, their perfect wedding, disrupted by reality. We walk down the aisle like that father, son, and bride, while 200 guests murmur in confusion and fascination. I see the minister's surprised face, the wedding planner, frantically consulting her clipboard. At the altar, Ethan releases my arm. Thank you, he whispers, for everything, for being here, for not giving up. I take my seat in the front row, the groom's side where I belong. Diane sits beside me, her hand finding mine. The ceremony proceeds. Traditional vows exchanged rings the minister's blessing. But when it comes time for the exchange of family medallions, a tradition I didn't know they'd planned, Ethan turns to me. Dad, Madison, and I want to honor our families. The Monroes have given us a crystal dove representing their family's values. He pauses. We hoped you might have something as well. Every eye turns to me. This wasn't planned, wasn't in any script. The Monroes look stricken. I stand slowly, reach into my pocket, and pull out Caroline's pearls. Your mother wore these on our wedding day. Her mother wore them before her. Each pearl represents a year of love, of struggle, of building something that lasts. I hand them to Ethan, who passes them to Madison with trembling hands. They're yours now. Use them wisely. Honor them well. Madison stares at the pearls, and for the first time, I see something crack in her carefully constructed facade. Thank you, she whispers, and it sounds almost genuine. The reception is tense. The Monroes hold court at one end, accepting congratulations through gritted smiles. I stay at my table with Diane, watching my son dance with his bride. The DJ announces the parent dances. Gerald escorts Madison onto the floor for the father-daughter dance, his chest puffed with borrowed importance. When it ends, there's an awkward pause. And now, the DJ says uncertainly, the groom's father isn't here, Patricia Monroe says loudly, a last desperate attempt to erase me. Yes, he is, Ethan says clearly. He walks to my table, offers his hand. Dad, will you dance with me? I know it's not traditional, but neither is any of this. We move to the floor, finding a rhythm to some song I don't recognize. My son, nearly as tall as me now, leads like I taught him years ago for his high school prom. I don't know how to fix what I broke, he says softly. You fix it by doing better, by choosing better, by remembering who you are. Who am I? You're Ethan Dalton, son of Richard and Caroline, built from love and sacrifice and the belief that family means something. Tears stream down his face. I forgot. God help me, I forgot. Then remember, starting now. The song ends. We step apart, and for the first time in months, I see my son truly smile. Not the social smile he's learned from the Monroes, but the genuine grin of the boy who caught his first fish. I leave before the cake cutting, before the toasts, before the spectacle runs its course. I've made my point. I've honored my son. I've stood my ground. Diane walks me to my truck. That was remarkable. That was necessary. Caroline would have been so proud. I look back at the glowing tent, the celebration continuing without me. Maybe she would have told me I was a stubborn old fool. Those aren't mutually exclusive. Diane hugs me. You did good, Richard. You reminded him who he is. The rest is up to him. I drive home as the sun sets, painting the sky in the same colors as the morning. Full circle, like Caroline always said, life was. At home, I find an envelope pushed under my door. Inside, a check from Gerald Monroe for $47,000. And a note, consider this a loan repayment. We want no obligation to you. I tear up the check. They still don't understand. This was never about money. My phone buzzes, a text from Ethan. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the pearls. Thank you for not giving up on me. I love you, Dad. I text back, love you too, son. Now go dance with your bride. I pour myself a glass of water, still no whiskey, never again, and sit on the porch as darkness falls. The October air carries the scent of wood smoke and fallen leaves, the smell of seasons changing, of time moving forward, whether we're ready or not. Tomorrow, we'll see what remains. Whether Ethan finds his way back to the man we raised him to be, or whether the Monroe's influence proves too strong, whether this wedding was an ending or a new beginning. But tonight I'm simply a father who showed up when it mattered, who stood his ground with dignity, who proved that love isn't about being convenient, it's about being present. I look up at the stars beginning to appear, the same stars Caroline and I used to watch from this very porch. We did it, I whisper to her memory. We reminded him who he is. The rest is up to him. And in the quiet of that October night, I swear I can hear her voice on the wind. Well done, my love, well done. 3 days after the wedding, I wake to silence. Not the heavy, suffocating silence of grief I've grown accustomed to, but something lighter, the quiet of possibility of waiting, of a story not yet finished. The house feels different. The morning light through the kitchen window seems brighter, even though the October sun hasn't changed. I make my coffee 1 cup and carry it to Caroline's chair. My chair now, I suppose, though. I'll always think of it as hers. The wedding pearls are gone, passed to new hands. In their place, I have the memory of Madison's face when she received them, the crack in her polished armor, the whispered thank you that might have been real. My phone has been quiet. No calls from the Monroes, no text from Ethan beyond that one message. I tell myself, this is good. That silence means they're processing, adjusting, finding their footing in this new reality I've created. But part of me wonders if I've lost him anyway, just in a different way. The torn check from Gerald Monroe sits on the kitchen counter. I should throw it away, but something stops me. It's evidence not just of their desperation, but of how little they understand about what I did. They think everything can be reduced to transactions, that love and obligation are the same thing. I pick up the pieces, fit them back together like a puzzle, and place them in the fireproof box with all the other documentation. Someday maybe these fragments will tell a complete story. The lake house calls to me. I pack a bag without thinking, muscle memory from 40 years of weekend escapes. The drive north is automatic every turn, every landmark passing without conscious thought. But this time, I notice things I've overlooked. The new development, where the old barn used to be the roadside stand, now selling antiques instead of corn. The way the trees have grown taller, their branches reaching across the road like clasped hands. Change happens whether we acknowledge it or not. The lake house greets me with its familiar smell of pine and old books, wood smoke, and time. I open windows, letting October air sweep through, carrying away the mustiness of disuse. In the fridge, I find expired milk and a jar of pickles I don't remember buying. Evidence of the life I've been neglecting while fighting to keep it. I spend the afternoon on the dock, a fishing rod in my hands, but no real intent to catch anything. The water is glass smooth, reflecting clouds and sky in the perfect symmetry. A loon calls somewhere across the lake, and I remember teaching Ethan to identify that sound. How his eyes would go wide when the bird surfaced nearby, its prehistoric profile breaking the mirror surface. That's a loon, Dad. It sounds sad. Not sad, son. Wild. There's a difference. I wonder if he remembers that, or if Madison's family has rewritten even those memories into something more refined, more appropriate for their world. As the sun begins its descent, I hear a car on the gravel drive. My heart does that stupid, hopeful thing again. Maybe it's Ethan. Maybe he's come to talk without handlers and witnesses. But the engine sounds wrong, too refined. I turn to see a silver Mercedes pulling up, and my stomach sinks. Madison steps out alone this time, wearing jeans and a simple sweater. No armor today, just a young woman looking uncertain on the uneven ground. "Mr. Dalton," she calls. "I hope I'm not intruding." I set down the rod. "How did you find me?" "Ethan told me where to look." She walks onto the dock carefully, her expensive shoes not made for weathered wood. "May I sit?" I gesture to the bench. Caroline and I built the one where we'd watch sunsets and plan our retirement years together. She sits and we're quiet for a moment, just the lap of water and the cry of birds breaking the silence. "The pearls," she finally says, "they're beautiful. They belong to good women, women who understood that marriage is work, not just a party." She flinches but doesn't look away. "You think I don't know that?" I think you've been taught to value the wrong things. By my parents. Not a question, a statement. Among others. She pulls something from her pocket, a photograph, old and creased. It shows a young couple plainly dressed standing in front of a modest house. My grandparents, she explains. They came from nothing, built a small grocery store into a chain. Lost everything in the recession of '91, rebuilt from scratch. They taught my father about business, about survival, about doing whatever it takes to succeed. That's a hard lesson. It's the only lesson he learned. He forgot they also taught about family, about sacrifice for each other, not for success. She traces the photograph with her finger. They would have loved your lake house. They had one like it, sold it when times got tough. My father never forgave them for that, saw it as weakness. And you, I thought he was right, that they were foolish to hold on to sentiment when practicality demanded otherwise. She looks at me finally. But seeing you at the wedding, giving those pearls after everything we tried to do to you, I realize there are different kinds of strength. Epiphany at your own wedding, that's inconvenient timing. She laughs a real sound without polish. Terrible timing. I spent my honeymoon arguing with my parents about you, about how they manipulated everything, about how I became part of their scheme. What does Ethan say? He's ashamed, angry, mostly at himself, but also at me for not seeing it sooner, for going along with it. She stands, walks to the dock's edge. My parents want me to leave him. They say he's choosing you over our future, that a man who won't prioritize his wife over his father is weak. What do you say? She's quiet for a long time, watching the water. I say they're wrong. I say a man who can stand up to his wife's family for his father is exactly the kind of man who'll stand up for his family when it matters. A fish jumps somewhere nearby, breaking the surface with a splash that ripples outward. Why are you here, Madison? Because I need to apologize. Not the polite social apology my mother taught me, but a real one. We tried to steal your life, Mr. Dalton. We dressed it up as concern and help and family planning, but we tried to steal who you are, what you built, everything that mattered to you. Yes, you did. I don't expect forgiveness. Good, because I'm not ready to give it. She nods, accepting this. Ethan wanted to come, but I asked to come alone. He's afraid you'll never forgive him. That's for him to earn, not you to negotiate. I know. She turns to face me. But I wanted you to know we're not taking anything from my parents anymore. No money, no help, no gifts with strings. We're starting over, just us building something honest. That's a hard way to start a marriage. My grandparents did it. They made it work. She holds up the photograph. This is who I want to be, the kind of woman who builds something lasting, not the kind who takes from others to maintain appearances. She walks back toward her car, then pauses. The pearls, I'm going to wear them every anniversary. Not because they're valuable, but because they remind me that real value isn't in the price tag. After she leaves, I sit until full dark, processing the conversation. The girl-woman who showed up today wasn't the one who tried to manipulate me into signing away my life. Whether that change is real or temporary, whether it lasts past the first fight or financial pressure, remains to be seen. But it's something. A crack in the foundation of their carefully constructed world. That night, I sleep in the master bedroom for the first time since Caroline died. The sheets smell musty but familiar, and if I close my eyes, I can almost feel her beside me, hear her breathing in the dark. What do you think? I whisper to her ghost. Did I do right? The house creaks, settling into night, and in that sound I hear her answer. You stood up. That's all anyone can do. Morning brings unexpected visitors. I'm making breakfast when I hear multiple cars on the gravel. Through the window, I see Ethan's sedan, followed by a pickup truck. I recognize Robert Patterson, my old foreman, with his grandson Tommy in the passenger seat. Ethan climbs out first, looking nervous. Robert follows with Tommy, who's maybe 12 now, carrying a tackle box that used to be mine. Dad, Ethan starts. I know I should have called, but you thought I might say no. I finish. Yeah. Robert steps forward, extending his hand. Richard, hope we're not intruding. Ethan said you might be up here, asked if I wanted to bring Tommy fishing. Tommy grins the expression so, like Ethan at that age, it hurts. Mr. Dalton, Dad says you taught him everything about bass fishing. I look at Ethan, who shrugs sheepishly. I thought maybe we could start over. Not erase anything, but build something new. You, me, Robert, and Tommy, like a proper family morning at the lake. It's clumsy, this attempt at reconciliation. It's too little and too late and doesn't fix anything that's broken, but it's something. An offering, an olive branch extended by a son who's finally seeing clearly. Coffee's on, I say, stepping back from the door. Tommy, the rods are in the garage. Your grandfather knows where. We spend the morning on the dock, 4 generations of men in quiet communion with the water. Tommy catches 2 bass and a perch, his excitement genuine and infectious. Robert tells stories about construction sites and near disasters that make even Ethan laugh. And Ethan, he sits beside me like he used to shoulder, and we don't talk about weddings or money or manipulation. We talk about nothing and everything, the weather, the fish, the way the light hits the water. I'm sorry, he says quietly while Robert helps Tommy untangle a line. For all of it, I don't know how to make it right. You do what you just did. You show up. You keep showing up. You remember who you are. And if the Monroes, what they do is their choice, what you do is yours. He nods and we watch Tommy reel in another fish, his whoops of joy echoing across the water. By noon they're packing up. Robert shakes my hand. Anytime you need help with the dock or the house, you call me. Mean it. Tommy hugs me, the easy affection of a child not yet taught to be careful. Thanks, Mr. Dalton. This was the best day ever. Ethan is last. Dad, I know this doesn't fix everything. No, it doesn't. But can we try Madison and me? We want to do better. Be better. I look at my son, really look at him. The boy is still there, buried under years of wrong choices and bad influences, but still there, waiting to be remembered. We can try, I say finally. But Ethan, if you ever try to take what I've built again, we're done. No second chances, no forgiveness. Are we clear? Crystal. After they leave, I stand on the porch watching the lake return to its quiet rhythm. The fight isn't over. The Monroes won't give up easily, and Madison's conversion might not last. But something has shifted. Some weight has lifted. I pull out my phone and call Marcus. How are things? He asks. Complicated, but maybe heading toward better. Should we proceed with the final trust arrangements? I think about Ethan on the dock teaching Tommy how to cast, about Madison's apology, about the long road ahead. Let's give it time, I say, but keep everything ready. Trust, but verify. As always. That evening I write a letter to Ethan. Not an email or text, but a real letter in my own hand the way Caroline used to write to me. Son, it begins. Today was a good start, but starting is the easy part. Following through, staying true, choosing right. When it's difficult, that's where character shows. Your mother and I built our life on those choices, thousands of them, year after year. If you want to build something that lasts with Madison, you'll need to do the same. I love you, I always have. But love doesn't mean surrender. It means standing firm in who you are while making space for growth. Come back next weekend if you want. We can work on that loose board on the dock together, the way we used to. Dad. I seal it, address it, and leave it by the door to mail tomorrow. The sun sets in brilliant oranges and pinks, Caroline's favorite colors. I sit in the porch swing, listening to its familiar creak, and for the first time in 3 years, the loneliness feels less like a weight and more like peace. I've stood my ground. I've protected what matters. I've reminded my son who he is and what he comes from. The rest is up to him. And somehow, finally, I'm okay with that. The lake whispers its ancient song against the shore, and in that sound, I hear Caroline's voice one more time. Well done, my love. Now let it go and see what grows. So I do. I let go not of my vigilance or my boundaries, but of the constant fighting, the endless defending. I let go and wait to see what tomorrow brings, knowing that whatever comes, I'll face it the same way I've faced everything since Caroline died. Standing tall, standing firm, standing ready. But most importantly, standing on my own terms in the life we built together, surrounded by the evidence that love, real love, never has to apologize for being strong. The stars emerge one by one, constant and true. And for the first time in longer than I can remember, I sleep without fighting, without fear, without the weight of wondering what I've lost. Because I've found something more valuable than I ever knew I was missing, the unshakable knowledge that I did what was right even when it was hard. Even when it cost me everything, even when the outcome was uncertain, and that Caroline would say is what it means to be a man of integrity. That is enough. That will always be enough. The letter returns unopened 3 days later. Not refused, just returned with a yellow forwarding sticker, indicating temporarily away. I turn the envelope over in my hands, my own handwriting, staring back at me, and something settles in my chest. They've left town. Honeymoon extension, family pressure, or simple escape, I don't know which. I file the letter in the fireproof box with everything else, another piece of unfinished business. November arrives with early frost and shorter days. I winterize the lake house drain. The pipes cover the porch, furniture stack, firewood in the shelter I built 30 years ago. Each task is meditation muscle memory, the ritual preparation that marks the changing seasons. Robert calls midweek. Richard, Tommy won't stop talking about fishing at your lake. Kid's driving his mother crazy, asking when we can go back. Spring, I tell him. Ice out is usually late April. We'll make a day of it. He'd like that. Hell, I'd like that. A pause. Haven't heard from Ethan, have you? No. Well, if you need anything this winter, you call. Marcus emails with quarterly updates. The trust documents are finalized but not executed, waiting for my final decision. Everything is ready. Protection in place should I need to activate it. Insurance, he calls it. I call it a loaded gun, I hope never to fire. Thanksgiving approaches. For 3 years, I've spent it alone heating a Stuffer's turkey dinner and pretending the silence is preference rather than abandonment. This year, Diane calls. You're coming to Phoenix, she announces. No arguments. I've got a guest room with your name on it, and my daughter's family will be here. Noise, chaos, kids underfoot, exactly what Caroline would want for you. I don't want to impose, Richard Dalton, you're coming, or I'm flying back there and dragging you myself. Caroline made me promise I wouldn't let you disappear into that house. I booked the flight. Phoenix is warm alien after autumn in the Northeast. Diane's house smells of cinnamon and roasting turkey filled with the cheerful chaos she promised. Her daughter Sarah has 3 children who treat me like exotic grandfather, asking endless questions about building houses and catching fish. Did you really build your house with just your hands? The youngest asks, eyes wide. Well, I use tools too, I tell her. But yes, mostly my hands and your grandmother Caroline's good planning. At dinner, surrounded by borrowed family, I feel the grief shift not disappearing, but making room for something else. Laughter connection, the reminder that life continues in spirals, not straight lines. Sarah corners me after dinner, coffee in hand. Uncle Richard, Mom told me what happened with Ethan. I'm so sorry. These things happen. No, they don't. Families fall apart when people forget what matters. She studies me. But you didn't forget, did you? Your grandmother wouldn't let me. I wish I'd known her better. Mom says she was remarkable. She was. Saw through nonsense straight to the heart of things. Would have liked you. Sarah smiles. High praise. Listen, I know this is forward, but we have a cottage in Sedona. Empty most of the year. If you ever need a break from winter, from everything, it's yours. No strings, no expectations. Just a place to breathe. The offer catches me off guard. Kindness from unexpected quarters, the way Caroline always said the universe worked when you paid attention. Thank you, I manage. I'll remember that. The flight home. Sunday evening leaves me contemplative. Below lights spread across the landscape like fallen stars, each one a house, a family, a story unfolding. Somewhere down there, maybe Ethan and Madison are finding their way. Or maybe they're still lost, still caught in the Monroe web. I realize 30,000 feet above the ground that I'm okay with not knowing. The desperate need for resolution has loosened. Some stories don't end cleanly. Some relationships exist in perpetual maybe, and that's acceptable. December brings the first real snow. I wake to find the world transformed, 8 inches of fresh powder, blanketing everything in white silence. The kind of snow Caroline loved, when she'd make hot chocolate, and we'd watch it fall for hours, the two of us cocooned in warmth, while the world went quiet. I'm shoveling the driveway when a familiar car pulls up. My heart doesn't leap this time, just accepts. Ethan steps out wearing a winter coat. I don't recognize beard growing in, looking somehow both older and younger. Dad? He doesn't approach, just stands by his car. Can we talk? I lean on the shovel. You can talk, I can listen. Whether it goes further than that depends on what you say. He nods, accepting the terms. Madison and I have been in counseling. Real counseling, not the how to manage difficult family members her parents suggested. We're working through everything, how we let them control us, how we tried to control you, how we lost ourselves. That's good. Her parents aren't speaking to us. cut us off completely when we refused to pursue legal action against you. He laughs bitterly. Turns out their concern for our future was conditional on us being their puppets. Are you here for money? No, God, no. I'm here because my therapist asked me to write down everything I wanted to say to you, and I realized the most important thing was this: I'm sorry. Not for what I did. I've apologized for that. I'm sorry for who I became, for forgetting that integrity matters more than success. That family is built on trust, not transactions. The wind kicks up, sending snow devils dancing across the yard. I watch them spiral and fade temporary beauty in constant motion. And Madison. She's pregnant. The words tumble out. 12 weeks? We found out last month. And the first thing I thought was, I need to tell my dad. Not her parents, not our friends. You. Something cracks in my chest. Ice around my heart beginning to thaw. A grandchild. Caroline's grandchild. That's wonderful news, son. Is it? His voice breaks. How do I raise a child when I've been such a failure as a son? How do I teach them about family when I nearly destroyed ours? I set down the shovel brush snow from the porch steps. You do it by learning from your mistakes, by being the father you wish you'd been as a son, by choosing better every single day. Can you forgive me? The question hangs in the cold air, visible as breath solid as the snow beneath our feet. I'm working on it, I say honestly. But Ethan, forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a bridge, and we're both going to have to build it board by board. I'll do whatever it takes. Then start by coming inside. We'll have coffee and you can tell me about the baby. Not about the Monroes or the wedding or any of that. Just about becoming a father. His relief is visible, shoulders dropping, face softening. Madison's in the car. She was afraid to come to the door. Then get her. It's too cold to sit in a car, pregnant or not. Madison emerges hesitantly, belly just starting to show beneath her coat. She's crying before she reaches the porch. Mr. Dalton, I'm so sorry. We were awful. I was awful. You were young and foolish. Come inside before you catch cold. In the kitchen, warmed by coffee and tentative conversation, I learn about morning sickness and doctor's appointments, about their small apartment and Madison's new job at a nonprofit. They're building something real, however imperfect, however uncertain. We're naming the baby Caroline, Madison says softly. If it's a girl, if you're okay with that. The name hits me like a fist to the chest. Caroline, my Caroline living on in a grandchild I might get to know. She'd be honored, I manage, and so am I. Before they leave, Ethan pauses at the door. Dad, would you teach me how to build something? Maybe a crib or a changing table? I want the baby to have something handmade, something that matters. Come by Saturday. We'll start with the basics. Saturday becomes a ritual. Ethan arrives early, works beside me in the garage, learning patience and precision. Sometimes Madison comes, sits on Caroline's stool, talking about baby plans and doctor visits. Sometimes it's just us father and son, sawdust and silence, building something that might become furniture or might become reconciliation. Christmas approaches. They invite me to their apartment for dinner. Just the three of us, no Monroes, no expectations beyond shared food and tentative forgiveness. Their tree is modest decorations, clearly secondhand, but there's something honest about it. Real. Madison cooks a simple meal that tastes of effort and care. Ethan gives me a framed photo of the three of us at the wedding, the moment I handed over the pearls. To remember that families can heal, he says. I give them the crib plans. I've drawn up detailed sketches of a design Caroline and I created years ago, waiting for grandchildren who never came. Build it together, I tell them. Every piece, both of you. It'll be stronger that way. On Christmas morning, alone in my house, I wake to find an envelope pushed under my door. Inside is an ultrasound photo and a note in Ethan's handwriting. Dad, this is Caroline Diane Dalton. Due June 15th. She'll know her grandfather if you'll have us. She'll learn about integrity and strength and the quiet power of standing firm. She'll know that real family doesn't abandon, doesn't manipulate, doesn't trade love for convenience. She'll know because you'll teach her the way you taught me, even when I forgot to listen. Merry Christmas. Love your son. I hold the ultrasound to the morning light, grainy, barely human, but unmistakably there. New life, new chance, new story, beginning where the old one nearly ended. In the kitchen, I make coffee for one, but set 2 cups on the table. Old habit, old hope. The second cup stays empty, but its presence matters. Caroline's chair holds morning sunlight, the way it always has, and if I close my eyes, I can almost hear her voice. "See?" she'd say. "Some things can be rebuilt. Some bridges once burned can be made stronger in the repair." "Yes," I whisper to the empty room. "I see." The snow outside gleams pristine and new, unmarked by footsteps or regret. Tomorrow, Ethan and I will work on the crib. Next week, Marcus will file away the unused trust documents, insurance no longer needed. Next month, spring will begin its slow approach, ice will loosen its grip, and life will continue its relentless forward motion. But today, Christmas morning, I sit in Caroline's chair with an ultrasound photo and a second cup of coffee, and I am not alone. I am building a bridge board by careful board, back to the son I thought I'd lost. And somewhere, somehow, Caroline is smiling, because all of this, the struggle, the standing firm, the slow reconstruction of trust, this is what love looks like when it refuses to quit. This is what family means when you strip away pretense and find what remains. This is enough. This is everything. This is home. Right true if you agree with the father character.